All right, guys, so we're going to talk about pattern today. We're just going to really dive right in. Pattern is wonderful. You've got pattern all around your life. You're probably wearing a pattern. You could look around your house and see a pattern. But a few things. Pattern is just created through the use of the other elements of design. You're going to use space, line, shape, color, and your personal design to create some visual interest, and that is what pattern is. It's the simplest way to design any sort of surface treatment. However, too much pattern can make a room feel really uncomfortable and like overwhelming, busy, and a room without pattern can seem really, stark, lacking in character, almost sterile in a way. So it's really important that you get a good amount of pattern in your room, but finding the right balance. You don't want it to be too patterned out. So looking at these pictures, we want to ask ourselves, is the pattern successful? If it's successful, the room will feel comfortable. So looking at this blue room right here, we have a pattern on the wallpaper, and then we have a pattern on the couches. I would argue that this pattern is successful because we've got a few things going on. We've got smaller level patterns happening here on the couch, and they're in the same color story as the pattern back here. Okay? This pattern, however, is incompatible, and it makes the room feel very uncomfortable. You not only have the same pattern on your box spring, as your comforter and your pillows and your wall and your draperies, and then you have a pattern that doesn't even go with anything down on the rug. So it's just very patterned out, and it's really uncomfortable because this pattern is really, really, really busy and it's everywhere. Okay, even if you were only working with the bed and the wall, it wouldn't work. But then you've got this extra rug pattern and some random patterns here, so it just doesn't make sense. To achieve a feeling of good pattern, correct pattern, what you're going to need to do is evaluate the placement of your pattern. So where is your pattern in the room going to go? Know the character of your pattern. Know its color story. Know what the pattern looks like, ins and outs. Identify the color scheme of the pattern. Okay, this pattern, for example, is this green and white right here, but then we also have a similar greens, some white, pinks that all work with this. If we put them together, it would work together. And use a variety of sizes or patterns. So when we looked at that blue room, the pattern on the wall was much larger than the pattern on the couch and the pillow. And so they used different patterns and a different size of pattern. And that's how that worked. So if we look at these two pictures, we can see before we have a lot of pattern going on here, some pattern in the rug. So when I ask this question in class, the students all usually say the same thing. I ask, which one feels more comfortable to you? And the students typically all say this one. They say that this room is overwhelming. It has too much going on. It's really busy. They prefer just this room. And that makes sense because this room really is enclosing in on itself. You've got some extra stuff that makes it really hard for you to appreciate the space. Now this room, its pattern is working. It has different types of patterns. So you've got some radial pattern up here on this feature wall, but then you're incorporating the same kind of black and a bit of white here. Yellows are going together, and then you've got the same kind of florally naturalistic pattern happening. This pattern is always a hit or miss for my students. Some people will say yes, it works. Some people will say no, it doesn't. So they're going with the green and the black theme. They say that they don't like this against that green, but I would argue that this room does work. they're using a variety of different patterns and a variety of different sizes. So regardless of the fact that you might like it or you might not, the pattern in the room is working together. Again, students typically don't like this, but the pattern is working together. So we're going to skip this assignment. What I'd want you to do is the foldable, okay? So what you're going to do is take a sheet of paper and fold it into 4 different sections. And in those things, you're going to become a fabric designer. And I'm going to post a video of what to do with the foldable. So you're creating a line of fabrics for Riley Blake Design, which is a Utah quilting fabric-based company. And your task is to come up with 4 coordinating patterns that could be made into a fabric line and name for that fabric line. So don't forget the name. So if we look at the patterns behind this pink box, we can see that they're using the same kind of color story, the same kind of theme, if you will. What I'm going to have you do is come up with an inspiration. So if you really love music, make your pattern be based around music. Okay, that will be very helpful for you. So make sure that you look at the video that explains how to use the pattern foldable. Now we're going to go back to this pattern pick example. What you're going to do is find a picture of a room that has pattern in it. I want multiple different patterns, okay? What you're going to do is explain how the patterns in that room are being used together correctly. So look and find a room that has multiple patterns and really think about the 4 rules that I gave you and explain it. Make sure that you mount it, make sure that you glue it in, okay? Thanks for your attention, and I'll see you later.